Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video, and in today's video I'm going to be predicting the Pantoja versus Erceg fight. And if you are new around here though and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so, like video if you do need a like video, and let's get straight into it. So going into this fight, Pantoja is 27-5 with 8 KOs and 10 submissions, and Erceg is 12-1 with 2 KOs and 6 submissions. This fight is for the UFC flyweight title. Pantoja's last fight was a win via unanimous decision versus Royval, and Erceg's last fight was a win via KO in round 2 versus Chanel. This is in Pantoja's home country of Brazil. Pantoja is 34 and Erceg is 28. Pantoja's UFC losses have come versus Ortiz in 2018, Ortiz in 2020, Figueiredo in 2019, and Asakaru in 2020. And to speak about what I've just said there, obviously UFC flyweight title, Pantoja defending it yet again. It's been Pantoja fighting a new contender now, and he's fought pretty much majority of the people in the flyweight division at this point, but a new contender in Erceg. He's coming off a very emphatic knockout victory against Chanel. It was one which was very clean. It was nice boxing combinations to get him out of there, and Chanel obviously isn't really anywhere near the level of opposition in which Pantoja has been fighting, or Pantoja is himself, but nonetheless it's new, fresh competition for Pantoja, and it's going to come with a new, hungry competitor in Erceg who's got his own elements in which I'm sure he's going to be aiming to implement to hurt Pantoja. Obviously Pantoja is coming off unanimous decision versus Royval. It was a very good showing from him. He showed his wrestling and his grappling, and just his clear dominance on the ground yet again. But going into the later rounds of the fight, he did possibly look a little bit tired, or he did start getting caught when he was on the feet. And Erceg is a good boxer, and he can possibly catch Pantoja later on into the fight if he survives the onslaught in which Pantoja puts on normally early, which he did in the Royval fight. If he can survive that, then possibly he could catch him with some shots of his own. Obviously, like I say, home country of Pantoja, he's going to be wanting to put on a show there. Brazil, it's a big card for Brazil. It's Jose Aldo also making a return, plus some other good fights as well. I'm not doing any predictions for any other ones, but Paul Craig vs Barrera is a good fight. Anthony Smith is returning in a half decent fight. So there's a few good fights. I'm intrigued for Jose Aldo's return. I think the Barrera versus, like I said, Craig one will be a good fight, and of course this fight's going to be a good one as well. Obviously Pantoja being on the older side, is that really playing a factor as of yet? Doesn't seem like it. Seems like he is in his prime at the moment, but you never know when that possibly could play a factor. To speak on both as fights, Pantoja, the first thing I'll probably have to say, he is very tough. He's been in a lot of grueling fights where he's gotten bloodied and gotten damaged and had to really dig deep, and he's a very tough, durable fighter. He's also very well conditioned. Like I say, he was getting tired into the later rounds of the fight versus Royval and into the later parts of certain rounds, but the pace in which he was fighting at was such a high pace, and he literally put it on him from the very start, and he was relentless. And even when he was tired, he was still achieving takedowns and was still dominating really a lot of the time on the ground, and just making Royval struggle to actually be able to do anything and actually get any sort of rhythm. And so it is just a very high pace he's fighting at. Of course, he's got momentum himself, and similar to that of Erceg. Erceg's coming off that big knockout. He's now got a little bit of momentum to his name, so it's going to be intriguing. They're both going to be coming confident, which is always what you want to be seeing. He's got that constant grappling. He will wear you down from doing that as well. He's a very fast starter, like I say. He's got good striking variation in the process as well. I think that's something which shouldn't be not mentioned. It's something which he definitely does have good striking variation. He's got good sneaky kicks and strong kicks in the process as well, just like Erceg, who's also got sneaky leg kicks in the process. He gets you to the cage quite often, even if that's just from his pressure. He'll just force you up against the cage a lot of the time. He's strong, aggressive, solid counters. He'll seemingly bait you in a little bit. I think sometimes he can maybe act a little bit tired at times. I don't know if I'm giving him too much credit or not, but I think sometimes he can act a little bit tired and then bait you in to then be able to strike with one of his solid counters. And he's good at getting off his back as well. Even if he does make a mistake when he is on the ground, he's very good at getting off the back or getting out of bad positions. He was in a bad position, I believe it was round 4 versus Royval, into the later stages of round 4. And, Royval was there to be able to land clean shots on him, but, he went for a leg lock. He wasn't keeping still. He was trapping the hands and stopping him from letting him do his work. And so, he's good, even if he is off his back, to be able to take as minimal damage as possible. Negatives about him, I think passing the guard sometimes can be a little bit of a problem when he is going for ground and pound. It seemed like he was struggling to pass Royval's guard a lot of the time, and so perhaps that is a little bit of a problem. He can rush in, of course, and he can be very much timed coming in. His striking accuracy isn't always amazing. He can be drawn into a fight, forcing himself in a little bit. Possibly that was a problem where he was struggling to pass guard because he was just trying to force himself in, and Royval, with his quite long limbs, wasn't really allowing him to be just forced against when he was on the ground. His head movement, he hasn't really got any of that. He can be quite flat-footed at times, especially if he does look a little bit tired, or in general his defensive movement isn't always amazing. And punishing on the ground, I think sometimes he's not quite as punishing as what he could be whilst he is on the ground. Sometimes he is just racking up the control time, there's nothing wrong with that really. Speak about Erceg as a fighter. He's good at putting strikes together. He's got good combinations. He moves well on the ground as well. He moves well. He can scramble well. He can adjust well, and he's quite a well-rounded type fighter. He is that of a mixed martial artist. He will, like I mentioned, be able to fight on his feet or fight on the ground, and you have to be able to definitely do both against Pantoja, and especially be able to fight on the ground against Pantoja, because I'm sure he's going to have to be doing that a lot. He's coming off a big win, like I mentioned. He's got good punch variation. He's patient in the process as well, and he picks his shots quite well. I think against Chanel, he was struggling when Chanel was actually putting it on him in close. But when he was allowed time, he was gaining a rhythm and picking his shots very nicely. But I just don't know if he's going to get that necessary time against Pantoja, and how he's going to be able to deal with not having that time to be able to pick his shots. He's a good wrestler, solid knees when he is in close, so he could definitely catch Pantoja coming in with one of them. He's typically a bit more of a mid-range type fighter, but to be fair, he managed to get the knockout versus Chanel when he was quite in close, and he's quite accurate in his work in the process. I think he is a bit more of an accurate striker than that of Pantoja. Speak about Erceg's possible negatives. Of course, this is a big step up for him, and it's going to be intriguing to see how he deals with such a big step up. His head is also on the line quite a lot. His chin can be in the air quite a lot. He's not crazily fast, or he hasn't got stupidly good reactions. His footwork in close is really not really anything impressive. A lot of the time he'll just willingly take the shots and just wait for you to back off. He's got minimal feints in his work. He can't, in my opinion, fight his best at a high pace, which Pantoja is definitely going to keep it at a high pace. His balance isn't always amazing. He won't push the pace himself either. He's quite comfortable at fighting at that slower pace to pick his shots, and I suppose going in on the front foot, I don't think he's always the best when he is on the front foot himself. And I suppose resetting, like I mentioned, if you come in close to him, he'll just willingly take shots until you back off. But he could just, circle around and reset better, and he doesn't really seem to do that necessarily quite so much. Pantoja is the favourite for this fight, and I think that Pantoja will win via unanimous decision. I could see him out wrestling him, out just getting him to the ground continuously and being able to find a lot of success, and I could see him winning every single round, to be completely honest. And Erceg, I think he's going to be tough. I think he's going to be durable, but I think in the end I don't think he's going to get stopped, but I think he's going to have to weather a lot of storm, and Pantoja is going to be too much for him, in my opinion. Then who he could go on to fight? Albazi. That's probably one of the biggest names in the division who's not really fought Pantoja yet. Makayev is somebody else who's been building himself up as a fighter, and is somebody personally I'd love to see, but possibly after one more fight for Makayev. Or Sterling, Aljamain Sterling. Pantoja, I don't know necessarily, but I've just seen the weigh-in for this card, and he did have to weigh in, I believe, fully stripped, and so possibly he's maybe not struggling, but maybe he could have the option to go up in weight. And so a fight versus Aljamain Sterling with two wrestlers, it would make for an entertaining fight in my opinion. Obviously, I don't know if the casual fan would enjoy that, but for me, that would make for an entertaining matchup. So you never know, that could be something we could see next. Like I say, Pantoja's fought pretty much everybody in the flyweight division, so it would not surprise me if he wants to move up in weight after this. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like the video if you didn't, like this, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.